Well, hello and happy almost fall, y'all. That was my best Paula Deen impression. You know, you liked it. By the way, if you don't know it, Paula Deen, she's still cooking up a storm over on her own YouTube channel. You should probably check her out for some inspiration. Well, hey everyone, I am Kim Tisor, and welcome to The Good Place, where we'll soon be celebrating fall, all of us together, because it arrives officially this Saturday, even though the autumn diehards don't tell them it hasn't started yet because they'd be really upset. They've been celebrating for weeks now. And I admit that on several occasions, I had to stop myself from buying pumpkin spice coffee at the grocery store. I was so tempted. I really was. I mean, I first started seeing it weeks ago. Didn't you see it? And I told myself, no, you are going to wait until fall arrives. And I caved about a week ago, but I did hold out for a little bit. You know, I think it's kind of funny how things change from when you were a kid. When I was younger, I hated fall. It was my least favorite season. I think because it just seemed so dreary. The skies were gray, the leaves were on the ground, which I had to pick up a lot of. You know, I did a lot of leaf raking and just it signified going back to school, which I didn't like because I was a bit of a homebody, and the itchy sweaters, those were just awful. I just didn't like anything about fall and couldn't wait for it to be over with. And now it's probably my favorite season. I love fall. Is there something like that with you? Something maybe that you really detested as a kid that now you love, you fully embrace? Maybe it's a food, it could be a season, it could be a holiday, could be a person. But if they don't know that you really detested them as a kid, you probably shouldn't mention it. Please don't mention it here. By the way, I'll be looking for much more of your input during today's show because the topic that we're going to dive into, I'll just be honest, I have a lot of questions about it, probably not a lot of answers, which is typically how I operate. I'm always full of questions, which actually served me well as a reporter. I didn't go to a story with it already in my head what it was going to be. I went with an open mind, full of questions. I was curious. We should all be a little curious, I think. So Friday, I stumbled upon what I will describe as a recreation of the Netherworld. And this all happened because I was going to the Shrine of Jesus, the Divine Mercy, which is in my hometown, maybe 12 minutes from my house, and I had never been. And I found out they were having this special program because it was the Feast of Our Lady of Sorrows. And I wanted to go. I thought, I've never been. It's a special day. So what better time to go than right now? And again, because I had never been, I plugged the directions into my GPS, which took me on this circuitous route, not a direct one, which took me to a street that ran alongside the shrine. Now, it was on this street that I saw the most elaborate, dark, and disturbing Halloween displays I think I've ever seen outside of a haunted house. I'm pretty sure of it. And of course, I had to stop and take pictures and video so I could share with you. And the images really don't do it justice, but I want to share some of what I saw to give you an idea of what was on the street directly across from this sacred place. And I'm just going to slow down here and just let you take it all in, see some of these images. I mean, how do you like the skeleton hanging on the cross with the two, I guess, evil children playing patty cake at the foot of it? Um, and, it was while I was on the sidewalk in front of these homes, where no doubt countless children have been terrified, perhaps traumatized, that it dawned on me it's not even October. Technically, it's still summer. As a matter of fact, I did the quick math in my head and determined it was 6.5 weeks until Halloween. What were these people thinking? And, it wasn't just one display or two displays, not even just three displays. There were several directly across from the shrine, with another one just further down the street, right along the edge of the shrine's property, not a stone's throw from the shrine's fence. And to me, it appeared to be this visual affront to the sacredness of the shrine right in their midst across the street. I don't know how else to put it. But there was a battle, a spiritual battle taking place. And I will tell you, the news reporter in me desperately wanted to knock on each house's door to talk to the owners to ask, what were you thinking when you erected these displays? I mean, is this a neighborly competition to see who could have the biggest, most elaborate, darkest Halloween displays? Where is your heart? What are your views on God, Jesus, Satan, hell? Do you think you could go there? How do you feel about the people across the street that are going to the shrine for worship? I don't know. I was just full of so many questions, and I would have stopped except for the fact that I was by myself, and I thought maybe that wasn't the best idea. Now, while inside the shrine after the program, there was this nice lunch. I asked a couple of the sisters if they had seen the displays. I mean, I don't know how you could miss them. And they nodded, they acknowledged that they had seen them. And I asked, have you met the neighbors? And of course, they were very sweet. These nuns were so kind, so delightful. And they just said, they're cordial. I mean, what else were they going to say? They were very polite. I mean, they didn't seem nearly as offended as I was. And as we near Halloween, I'm sure we'll see more such displays, some innocuous, some disturbing. I want you to listen to this from Statista, which is a global data and business intelligence platform. The latest figures from them show that 73% of Americans plan to participate in Halloween activities this year. And that is the most number of Americans since they started collecting data in 2005. And the amount Americans spend on Halloween, candy, costumes, decorations for in the house, outside of the house, has tripled since 2005, when Americans spent 3.3 billion, that's with the B, dollars, I can't even say it now, on Halloween. Last year, I find this mind-blowing, that number grew to, you say it, 10.6 billion dollars. For comparison, that's the amount the White House budget had set aside for fiscal year 2023 to respond to the needs arising from conflict and natural disasters around the world, serving over 70 countries. Wow. But we can spend that much on like little mechanical spiders and some, scary looking decor for outside our house. So do you decorate for Halloween? If so, do you go the route of the macabre, or do you just string some, orange and black lights around the house? What do you do? I would love for you to comment in the comment section. I can tell you that the most we ever do is we will carve pumpkins, and we get out the seeds and roast them. That's most of the fun right there. And we will put them outside and put candles in them. And I think they're kind of pretty. I don't know. Some would think that's wrong to do that, but I'm curious as to what you do. Please let us know in the comments section. Now, looking at all of this, I cannot help but to wonder if there is a rise in the interest of the demonic. I'm sure many of you, I don't even have cable, and yet somehow I have managed to see nonstop ads for the movie that's coming out October 6th, The Exorcist Believer, which is supposed to be a sequel, I think, to the 1973 original Exorcist, which is considered still the scariest movie of all time. Then, of course, back in April, there was The Pope's Exorcist. And then around the same time that movie was released, came the movie Nefarious, involving demon possession. So if the entertainment industry is any gauge, and people are becoming more interested in what I'll label spiritual darkness, I guess my question is that such a bad thing? Now, before you pass out or send me nasty grams, let me explain. We live in a world where our culture is just overcome, saturated with materialism. We are inundated with that way of thinking, with that philosophy, with very few people, it seems, really taking the time to ponder spiritual truths. So if some of these people going to the films, not all of them, are people who would not typically consider anything within the spiritual realm, is it not a good thing? Could these movies not be used as a gateway, or even some of the decorations that we saw, used as a gateway to open up people's minds to God and to the actual good news and the good shepherd? I got to tell you, years ago when I lived in Colorado Springs, home to Focus on the Family, I was actually listening to the program Focus on the Family while driving into work one day. And I was listening to an interview with a pastor, and unfortunately, I didn't catch it from the beginning, so I never got his name. But I will never forget that he said in that interview that he came to trust in Jesus Christ, in the living God, by watching the movie The Exorcist, because he became instilled with fear. He was fearful at that moment of Satan, of there being a hell, and of him going there. And so he turned his life over to God. And it wasn't a fleeting thing. Obviously, this was years later, and he was a pastor. So we serve a God who owns a cattle on 1,000 hills. You know, everything is his. So no doubt everything is at his disposal, and he can use it to bring people into a relationship with him. And while that doesn't seem maybe the best way to be reached for God, I don't know. God loves us so much. He will use everything at his disposal, which is everything, to bring us into an understanding and acceptance of him. I mean, he won't force it, but I believe he'll make himself known to us. And then, of course, it's up to us to choose to follow him or not. So tell me, what do you think? Do you think that the macabre, especially what we see at Halloween time, which is when the movies come out and we see these scary decorations? Personally, I don't even like to see them. I don't. I find them disturbing. But do you think that God can use them and does use them for good? Not just that one example of the pastor. I mean, do you think that they serve as a reminder to people that there are things to be afraid of? There is actual evil. There are demons. There is a hell, and people go there. I will tell you what, I don't hear many priests or pastors talking about these realities. So if it's Hollywood that does it, well, hooray for Hollywood. You know, at least people are hearing about it in some way, shape, or form. And here's an idea. I just kind of like this. What if, instead of preachers and pastors and evangelists and youth pastors and ministers thinking that people from the outside are going to come to the church, why not go to these movie theaters, especially on opening night? But go to the movie theaters where some of these scary movies are being played and just wait outside. Make yourself visible. A priest, it's really obvious if, you know, you're wearing the cassock, you're wearing the collar. Make yourself known and available to people when they come out scared spitless from seeing these movies. They might be just a little bit more open to hearing what you have to say, or at least respond to an invitation to swing by church, swing by mass, see what it's all about. I don't know. It's just a thought. I think we need to get a little creative. And who knows, maybe in that particular moment when they are terrified out of their minds, maybe they will be more open to hearing a message that's going to help them sleep at night as well as set them free. Well, that is all I have for today. Thank you, as always, for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you liked what you saw and heard, then please click the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Let your friends know about it. And please respond to some of the questions. I'll try to remember to type those up in the discussion section, because when you respond, I don't know, it just makes it that much more fun. It's interactive somewhat that way. And anyway, I think we all appreciate that. So please leave your comments. And until next time, fear not. Instead, let your minds be filled with whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, whatever is excellent, whatever is worthy of praise. Think about those things. God bless you. Bye.